I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah.
Guys, we're coming in hot on the Ozone today. Little off-camera discussion where the Icons refuses to give Peyton Manning credit for his abilities in the NFL. Now, I am no crazy Peyton Manning fan myself, although he does watch Ballers, which I appreciate.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Nice. He
gave him the T. Like when you walked in, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest. We'll introduce him in a minute. Like when you walked in and T just went crazy and he started to cry. So Peyton Manning does when he sees anyone from the Ballers cast. Ladies and gentlemen, here live in Koreatown, it is the Ozone. I'm your host, Omar Miller. I'm here with my brother, as usual, Terry Miller, also known as the Icons with a Z on social media. And we have a very, very special guest, family in the Ozone. He's back once again to display his knowledge and his non-support for 45. Ladies and gentlemen, from Disney Stuck in the Middle, Mr. Joe Nieves. Hey. No, and the fans go crazy. Icons coming in hot. So anyways, you got headphones? You're not going to listen to what we're saying? Nice. One of these things. We call these cans in the industry. So we're coming in on a discussion where we're talking about Brad Stevens and his ability to neutralize Ben Simmons, and in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals, LeBron James and company. But, we're saying that potentially he's Popovich-ian or Belichick-ian in the sense of taking out of your Jets, Jets, in a way of taking out your main player. And, and then the Icons decided to say, yeah, that was kind of like Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. Big difference that I saw there is that Peyton Manning is out right now shining his ring. I saw him. He was in the parking lot, actually. He was shining. He follows me sometimes. He's a ballish. And you just won't give this guy credit. Why won't you give him credit for the Super Bowl?
He lobbied to get the rules changed in the NFL.
I came front on that.
Yeah, first and foremost. And not only that, he didn't really do anything in the Super Bowl. They could have let Brock Osweiler play, and Brock Osweiler would have done just as much, or if not better. If you're
just like he did in Texas?
No, but he's the one who got Denver to where they were in the Super Bowl, and then they decided to take him out.
Not all the way.
Peyton Manning was hurt.
He was hurt
for about 4 or 5 games, and Brock Osweiler came and stood it for
3 games. And Brock Osweiler, that's when everybody thought he was going to be the real deal.
Well, he probably could have been if they wouldn't have smashed all his hopes and dreams. Poor kid.
Look, Peyton Manning wasn't a huge part of that Super Bowl winning team, but his career is ridiculous, and he should have won a couple more Super Bowls in there.
Why?
Because he's
Peyton Manning?
Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Does that take anything away from Dan Marino?
No.
I don't think so.
But Dan Marino never lobbied the league to change the rules about passing, about defense.
Well, at least he's changing rules fairly as opposed to changing them by cheating.
Oh,
who cheated?
Yeah,
who cheated?
Who records practices? Who deflates footballs?
They didn't say that was illegal at the time. That's why he did it. I'm not a crazy Patriot fan like that either, because I believe that they've changed the rule for Tom Brady as well. About hitting the quarterback. You got these guys coming in full speed, and then they have to stop on a dime so they won't have to touch him. It's unbelievable.
Which has to put more torque on their own personal legal ligaments as opposed to putting the pressure on the quarterback's ligaments.
And if Tom Brady ever gets touched, he turns around and cusses the ref out and says, "Look at this."
Good, he's handsome.
There you go. He explains everything. So what about all of us not so handsome people?
That's our problem. That's our problem,
folks. That's our problem. At home sometimes with my girl, sometimes she touches me. I look for the ref, and I don't know. He's never there. It's weird. One time he was there. It was really weird.
She said it was the ref anyway.
He didn't have on a uniform, but I was like, all right. Anyways, yeah, guys. So we got that wasn't even the intro. That was just coming in hot. But we had a lot of sports action going down this past weekend and this past week since we've left you, and we also have something just hot off the press, breaking news. Ooh. Did you guys see this thing? The Supreme Court strikes down the sports betting law.
Yeah, now we can gamble anywhere you want to.
This is a big deal. Oh, I didn't think that's what they. Oh yeah, okay. I thought they said it. I thought they went the other way.
No.
Okay, so they struck down. Here it is. The Supreme Court struck down a federal law that prohibits sports gambling Monday, which is today, in a landmark decision that gives states the go-ahead to legalize betting on sports. The court ruled 6-3 to strike down the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, a 1992 law that barred state-authorized sports gambling with some exceptions. It made Nevada the only state where you could wager on the results of a single game. States that want to offer legal sports betting may now do so. And New Jersey is the front runner. They're ready to go. Delaware, Mississippi, New York, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia are among the states expected to get into the legal bookmaking game quickly. Now, that is interesting. And let's hear what the court wrote in its opinion last piece, which is Congress can regulate sports gambling directly. But if it elects not to do so, each state is free to act on its own. Our job is to interpret the law Congress has enacted and decide whether it is consistent with the Constitution. PASPA is not. That's very interesting because that can change a lot about the entire country, to be honest.
Yeah. Right. And now I think the MLB or NBA, they're talking about trying to get 1% of all the gambling that goes on with their sport, which is crazy revenue. But are they going to share with the players?
No, of course not. What gives them the right to say we want some of that money? That doesn't make sense.
Right?
Yeah. So somebody opens a private business, the NBA is like, yeah, we're going to take some of that.
We need some of that because we're providing the thing you're
service,
betting
right?
on.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But I tell you what else it's going to do. Personally, I think it's going to make a lot of these places pop off now. Places like, say, a Louisiana, like, say, in New Orleans, right? Mm-hmm. I enjoy working down in New Orleans, and one of the reasons is because they have casinos. But you can't sports gamble in their casinos. It's kind of like how on the Indian reservations you can't have the, you can't play craps and this, that, and the other. They have a certain amount of games you can play and can't play. I think stuff like that. I remember when I was working down in Florida, in Miami, they did that $1 billion renovation of the Fontainebleau Hotel and turned it into a full-blown resort down on South Beach. And those were the rumors the whole time, was that, hey, we're going to make Miami Beach, Las Vegas South. And eventually we're going to get gambling in here and you just watch. Otherwise, how do you justify $1 billion spend on a hotel? How can you get that money back? $1 billion?
Yeah.
And gambling is a way you can get it back immediately. Gambling does, they do their numbers.
Right.
Sex and gambling do their numbers.
How did Nevada get that anyway?
And it had to be
get everybody?
Right?
How did they get the government to be like, no, just Nevada?
That had to be some serious lobbying that went on from an illegal, corrupt perspective from the mafia.
Gangster time, right?
Yeah. It's gangster time. Kid. I didn't know you would announce it was gangster time. Let's get it. Oh, you meant Vegas. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's crazy. Yeah.
The story behind that, I'm sure, would be very disappointing. If
little budgie action, huh?
Yeah, I think it was.
But even so, then how come New York or Chicago or New Jersey? I mean, you'd think.
I think it was the fact that it was in the middle of the nowhere kind of area, and they had a very, very small population at the time, and which made it inconvenient, if you will. The gamblers had the foresight to know that people have no problem with inconvenience when it comes to being able to gamble.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because honestly, when we were doing 8 Mile in Detroit, when you would go into the casinos that are there, it was not helping society by any means. Yeah. You would see people there not having a good time. You see people there addicted. Yeah. And unfortunately, we tend to give into our vices, especially Americans. We have, I don't think discipline is our strongest attribute. But
in that situation, when people are gambling, a lot of times they're gambling for the competition of it all. Or some people put their last monies on it because they need to pay their rent. Yeah.
It usually works out. Usually works out well.
I mean, what can you do? You win some, you lose some. It's a gamble.
It is a gamble. Man.
Yeah, even I went to Vegas recently. It's even, you go for a good time, but then there's a certain amount. Like if it's not the weekend between like 7 p.m. and 2 a.m., it's any other time, it's kind of sad.
And this is what I'm saying. And they're talking about this being everywhere. Yeah. But potentially you'll have to, this is interesting because what they're saying is that the states have to vote on that. So the state, you know what I mean?
And that handful of states are the ones that they think will
that are looking to jump in right away. The American Gaming Association estimates that Americans illegally wager about $150 billion on sports each year. This is going to put a serious hurting on the bookies.
Yeah. And Vegas.
Yeah.
I would think and Vegas. But see, you know what? Vegas is actually ahead of the curve. One thing that they're doing that's really smart is Vegas decided that they wanted to become resort town. they went with what happens in Vegas. It became less and less about the gambling and more and more about the experience. Yeah. Even though, gamblers go to Vegas to gamble, which I would imagine the worldwide capital of gambling.
Yeah.
I was extremely disappointed when I went to Monte Carlo the first time.
No kidding.
Oh, man. And I was like, man, I'm in Vegas, Europe. And you weren't.
Yeah.
That was not the same experience at all, what I'd grown accustomed to. So I really, I don't know. I find that it's an interesting situation. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
That's funny. I never thought of that. Vegas is more of just like a party town now as opposed to a gambling
They've changed their image. They've successfully
rebranded.
They rebranded.
The shows, everything, the food, the restaurants.
Family friendly now.
You remember, I don't know if you guys came over from the East Coast, but from here, our father used to drive us out to Vegas, and he'll tuck you into Circus, and he's gonna go do adult stuff. Yeah. We'll meet back at the buffet.
Yeah.
You go to
Here's a couple bucks.
Here's a couple bucks. Go play the arcade games.
The Circus is beautiful.
Circus. As a kid, it was.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was awesome.
Going on.
Yeah. It was the circus came to town.
Yeah.
Then they opened Excalibur, which was like a circus, a little bit farther north on the strip or south on the strip, whichever direction it is. And then west, I think. And then now it's all about everything. Yeah. It's actually a beautiful place to go.
The restaurants are ridiculous.
Insane.
Ridiculous.
I've gone to Vegas a few times and not bet $1 on anything, which is unheard of for me.
Yeah, that is unheard of.
Yeah. We would go in New York. We'd go to Atlantic City, and Atlantic City was disgusting. But
that's because your man was running it.
That's right. He sure was. And my dad would leave us there would be an arcade in the hotel.
It was the same thing. This is what Circus was. But none of the adults actually wanted to gamble at the kids' spot.
Yeah.
Because Vegas was smoky and grimy and sexually exploitative with the drink girls and this, that, and the other. And everybody wanted to be around that, not around not around some kids throwing a dart at a balloon.
Good times.
Yeah, but my pops will slide you a C note and be like, "You spread this around. Yeah. I gotta go do something." 23 hours later, he'd come back and he did something. He did something, and you're full of cotton candy. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, but that's going to be interesting to see. I kind of liken it to how states have legalized the marijuana game, in certain spots. Even though I think marijuana has more benefits than gambling, it remains to be seen if the classification of something being illegal has more to do with the government not being able to figure out how to properly tax it and get their cut, or if it's actually better for the greater good of society. Because they try to sell it like it's the latter, and usually I do believe it's the former.
You can't argue if alcohol is legal, then why should marijuana be legal?
Alcohol is very destructive.
It's not nearly as bad as alcohol.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Wow. Well, going to be interesting to see when I can place a wager down the street at Vaughn's.
Yeah, so will it be like OTBs? Like they'll be.
It's got to be like OTBs. Yeah. Well, you see him in London, and you see him in
what's OTBs?
Off-track betting. Was it just the East Coast thing?
It's the East Coast thing.
Yeah, we never
had OTB.
We go bet on horses. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I heard of ODB.
Yeah.
There's gonna be ODBs all over.
What are we doing here?
And there are actually, strangely enough, he's gonna be all over. He's gonna like it raw.
I
wish. Yeah, baby, he like it raw. Yeah. So we got a lot to cover. Which way you guys want to go? You guys want to go with the combat sports? You guys want to go with Major League Baseball? There's action all over the place, ladies and
I say
gentlemen.
we close it down with baseball.
Okay, let's close it
down.
I
love closing it down with a.
So let's jump into what was a very exciting weekend in combat sports. A really, really exciting weekend. Now, you watch the UFC fights.
I do, and I'm glad you guys are warming up a lot, huh?
Well, not really. I didn't see them, but I keep up with them.
It was great fights.
And I did see Cris Cyborg live in person the other day, and she was there to goad this boxing champion to fight her. This Cecilia Breckhouse. I went to the Gennady Golovkin fight down in Carson. And the fight before that was the first women's televised fight on HBO.
That's right.
And it was a championship bout.
It was a good fight.
And it was a great fight actually. The champ got dropped and got up and got busy. And this is a terrible thing to say nowadays, I understand. But the champ is gorgeous.
Yeah.
She was beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Cecilia Breckhouse looks like a
beautiful.
I mean, wow.
Hey, there's a lot of good, beautiful women fighters.
A lot of beautiful women fighters.
Yeah. You ever see Rose Namajunas? She's like a strawweight UFC champ. She's got a shaved head. She's beautiful. Absolutely. She'd be a model if she wasn't a fighter.
There you go. This is the same thing with this Cecilia. She's really good looking. And and you know what? there's a lot of good-looking fighters in general now. When I think about it. A lot of good-looking boxers now, which is just evidence that people don't box the right people. But there's a one thing that happened with that situation is that Cyborg was there trying to get her to fight her for the championship because she's thinking about leaving the UFC because there's more dough, especially if it's starting to get televised on HBO and so on and so forth. There's going to be more dough.
Now let me ask you this. Is Eddie Hearns trying to tap into that market as well?
Okay, this is what we have to cover. Have you seen this deal that Eddie Hearn talked about?
No.
This announcement. Let me see if I can find...
So Cyborg wants to box her?
Cyborg wants to box her.
See, that's a mistake. I mean, whatever gets you paid, I guess.
I saw on the thing, it will not be a mistake for Cyborg.
Yeah,
she think, no.
She got good enough hands for a pro boxer?
Chris, and the thing is, with the women, the thing that I've noticed is lacking usually is power.
Mm-hmm. Well, she has power, that's for sure.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. And that Cecilia had a tendency to get touched. And that's not going to work. She got dropped in that fight and got staggered, I think, 3 times and got dropped once. But she came back. She's got the heart of the champion. Yeah. So it was pretty impressive. So Eddie Hearn, the British...
The old backup catcher for the Mets.
Yeah, you remember him.
He got into something new.
Played with first base.
That is hilarious. So Eddie Hearn, the British promoter who now promotes Anthony Joshua, amongst other guys. I think he also promotes Kell Brook and some of the other Brits. And he announced an insane thing with Matchroom with the kind of money that boxing, most sports, but definitely boxing, has never seen. All right, so outside of the cheesy acronym of a company, it's called DAZN, D-A-Z-N, but you're supposed to pronounce it DAZN.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, exactly. So this is what he plans to do. He announced plans to expand Matchroom Boxing's influence in the United States market with a $16 billion yearly program beamed across America via digital television. It's going to start in September. And he's planning for 12 traditional championship fight nights and 4 absolute jam busters, mate. So what they're saying is that it's reported the agreements for 8 years with DAZN, and who's been hailed as the Netflix of sport. He says that he has $1 billion behind him, and let's hear him say it directly.
Obviously, over the last few months and years, we've performed DAZN to make this possible, and now we're here. You know, a new era for boxing. I believe DAZN will be the home of boxing for US fight fans. A lot of work to do. 16 shows in the US, of course 16 shows from the UK as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, we've got a long history with Perform across many different territories, across many different sports. We were looking for a broadcaster in the US who would give us a huge number of dates, a big arsenal of money for rights fees, also the ability to mould a show and the production how we want to. We consider ourselves as fans. So really we see this as the home of boxing, built by fans, for the fans.
Perform's been a digital leader in sport for 10 years, but it's all really now about the success of DAZN. We launched it in Asia, we launched it in Europe. It's been, you know, well beyond our wildest dreams in terms of success rates, number of subs coming in. But the US is the biggest market for OTT. There's already 220 million OTT subscriptions in the US, and there's only 110 million households. So sooner or later we had to launch in America. It's significant because it is DAZN coming to America, and America's the biggest OTT market in the world, and it's time for us to arrive.
So basically what he's saying is you can subscribe monthly, and in the subscription there's no you don't have to sign a long contract. So if you want to watch one this month, or if you see the slate and you say, oh yeah, I need that. And what he's doing is he's openly trying to poach everybody. He wants to poach Wilder from...
Oh, so he's getting fighters to fight for DAZN. He's not just saying, we're going to broadcast this fight.
That's it. And he says, look, we got $1 billion behind us. The money is there, and the dates are there, and the distribution will be there. No longer... He had another longer video where he's talking about, hey, no longer will you have to worry about the champions actually fighting who they're supposed to. No longer do you have to worry about things going the way that they're supposed to go, because these are the matchups that people want to see. We have the money to get guys to fight, and we know that the United States wants to see these fights. Let's set it up. Sign with Matchroom and DAZN.
Now, what I'm wondering is that's not collusion by any standard or anything. You can just go and poach somebody else's fighter like that.
Well, the contract's got to be up at some point. That's the right.
Well, this is the thing, and this is what just happened with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's contract was up with Showtime after this last fight with Joseph Parker with the unification belt. And so now Anthony Joshua is a free agent.
Yeah.
So this could be
but Wilder's
a very
not.
lucrative thing. No. Okay,
Oh, you're saying just by saying I want to sign you afterwards?
no,
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
And you can't do that with sports free agents, right? You can't.
Yeah. You can't. Normally with free agents and whatnot, you can't just
start talking.
Yeah, you can't start talking. You know, Magic's been fined a few times for saying stuff like that. But I guess since there's no sanction and literally no union or anything, you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Wow. And herein lies the thing. This is what guys are talking about. Guys are talking about same thing we've been talking about in the Ozone forever. Why don't any combat sports have a union? It's absurd.
I know.
It makes sure that an old boxer has to pass the torch.
Yeah.
Because he's going to run out of money eventually.
Yeah.
And already the numbers are inflated in the sense that they never actually get that number that you see them.
Right.
You know, they get 20 million. No, the purse is 20 million. Well, they don't actually get that. I remember when I did that picture with John Leguizamo, you come to find those guys most of the actual fighters are getting 20% of of that purse, whatever that stated purse is. Right. Most of them. That's why you see guys
that's before
now.
Taxes.
No, that's after. That's everything. Yeah. They get 20%. Actually, yes, after taxes, they're paying somebody else.
Pretty much, right?
No. They're getting 20%. And what they're doing now, you see the fighters, and Lennox Lewis was a pioneer in this. What they're doing now is they're starting their own promotional companies, and in that they're getting their money. But
this will break up this whole thing with the stables, you know, because you can't see this guy fight because he's on Showtime and HBO's got this guy and.
So here's my I'll be devil's advocate here. So what happened in mixed martial arts, however many years ago it was, with Pride Fighting and UFC, when UFC just went crazy and bought everything, and everybody was so excited because we were going to see all the fights, and we saw all the fights. We saw Mirko Cro Cop come here and fight all the heavyweights here. We saw Shogun Rua come over here and fight everybody, and it was great. But then. Now what we see, here's what I see with the problem, and I love MMA, is now it's just UFC. So you have UFC who used to just be where once you were established, you came as a great fighter to the UFC. Right. And then people wanted to see the fights. Now what I'm seeing a lot with UFC is that now they have to build a lot of young fighters up. And there's no room for that in the UFC, I don't think. So there's too many shows now. And
right. They're like every weekend.
Yeah. And now you're seeing guys who have fought 5 or 6 times in the UFC. You never used to see that.
Right.
They would be like, "Oh, I can't wait till that guy gets to the UFC. That champion in that other division, in that other promotion comes here and fights. I can't wait till he comes here." And used to dream about these fights, and it made it more exciting. Now it's just. Now and then
the market is flooded,
and you got fights, and it was a great fight. But you got fights like Lyoto Machida versus Vitor Belfort, and it's like, which was a great fight, but it's like none of those guys are relevant. Neither of those guys are really relevant anymore.
And
he looked great. He looked great. But.
But he looked great against him.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. It was a smart matchup for the UFC itself. But against a younger stud who knows what he's going to look like.
Right.
And then you have, and then that under that same vein, this is how they keep control. You know, and shout out to Czech Congo, the big homie Czech Congo, put it down in Bellator in the first round.
A lot of guys are going to Bellator, which is great.
Yeah. You need competition. It's very healthy to have the competition. I really think that this is the most important. And what else I also think is important is you see the WBC is actually finally putting some pressure on Canelo to enroll in the testing.
What's even worse than that is it seems like he's fighting it.
That is even worse than that. That doesn't.
Like, I'm going to take the juice, and I don't care. You can't stop me.
There's no collusion.
What can you do?
They removed the WBC, which is the most important sanctioning body, removed Canelo from their rankings until he enrolls in VADA testing. Yeah. And Canelo's like, nah. I never liked you guys anyways. Who's got the IBF belt? Do they test too? Damn it. Yeah,
and now his whole career is going to be marred. Everybody's going. Yeah, he's just the dirty fighter now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They keep trying to make they keep trying to front as if the hair strand thing shows that he didn't do it. Actually, in the juicing circles, that's not what it shows. There's no the hair strand test that they did doesn't show anything except for the fact that there was still juice in the system. That doesn't prove whatever. And I really like the idea that Gennady is moving forward without him. Right. Not necessarily to not fight him because I want to see the fight as well. But why should he do that? Why should Gennady, who also is a good-looking fighter, right? So why should he not? Why should he sacrifice potentially his health?
Yeah,
like after fighting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it a given that he would beat him again? I mean,
Well,
we beat him the first time.
That's what I'm saying. So
He
is
beat
it
him the
like
first time.
what's
If you're him, you're thinking to yourself, I've watched this tape 20 times.
Yeah.
I beat this guy
Yeah.
pretty well, probably like 8-4.
Yeah.
And yet, somehow or another, they cheated me. Then I come to find he was cheating then, and he's cheating now. You know what? Let me go somewhere else and get this money.
So it's been established.
He actually did good numbers on HBO against Vanis.
Oh, did he?
Rosen. They did like 1.8 million viewers or something like
bad.
that. Or 1.3 or 1.8, something like
People
that.
still want to see he's the best, right? So people
That's what you want. He's the pound for pound.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Not according to ESPN.
Oh, man.
They got your boy Lomachenko.
Oh, here it is. Let's speak on it. Let's speak on it.
That's disgusting.
So wow. I mean, I didn't want to go vomit, but what
I did.
What I saw was
a lot of net writing.
This past Saturday, man, I don't think I've ever seen such lopsided commentary. This was the dictator type commentary. This was the Kim Jong Un commentary.
It was.
This is when Putin plays in those hockey games, and surprisingly, he scores 4 goals with 12 assists.
Like, wow.
It's like, Jesus, this guy's a stud.
Why is he in the league?
He's 65. He's playing with 20-year-olds. They can't hold him.
He's better than Gretzky.
He's the great one. And so, yeah. And so Lomachenko walks in. They have the nerve to say that he's the biggest draw in boxing. I was just like, wow.
And first and foremost, if that's the case, why is he fighting on ESPN?
Come on, man.
For free.
Yeah.
And secondly, there's a bloke across the pond, man. He's selling out 90, 100,000 seats, you know?
And he's a heavyweight.
And he's the big boy. He's a heavyweight.
It's a heavyweight.
Also a good-looking dude, by the
I
way.
mean, come on,
What's
man.
going on here? I need to start boxing. Damn. Get myself together. Yeah, so Lomachenko Linares. All right, we talked about it a lot. Did you happen to see the fight, Joe?
I did see the fight. I'm more of an MMA guy. I watched the fight just because it was there. So I don't know enough about it, but I do know. I talked to my brother. My brother loves it. He's a believer.
No. Here's the thing. Now I want to quantify this because the Loma Twitterverse came for me.
They did.
On Saturday
I saw that.
night.
Yeah.
And
did they?
They were hurt.
What?
Their feelings were hurt.
I mean, I had somebody ask me if I'd ever taken a liver shot. I said, man, he's overrated. You ever taken a liver shot, bro? I didn't know if it was a threat or a real question.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Yeah, and so here's the thing. I want to qualify this off the top. I think Vasyl Lomachenko is a good fighter. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he is top 10 pound for pound. To throw him to the top of the pound for pound list after 12 fights, 13 fights,
especially with Triple G. Yeah.
Terrence Crawford?
Yeah.
Earl Spence.
Come on, dude.
The big fella, Anthony Joshua.
And Deontay Wilder. I mean, and you have, honestly, Sore Rungs guy, the Thai homie, who came and beat the undisputed pound-for-pound boxer in Chocolatito for the past, maybe 3 years. Chocolatito, the little guy, he fought at 112, was the undisputed pound-for-pound champion. He was like 47-0, 48-0, something like that. And this guy came over and cleaned his clock in a war and then came back 4 months later and knocked him out cold in 4 rounds. And I mean, even though, did you see that sidebar? Did you see that he's going through a bad breakup right now? He said he's not ready to fight. He was going to do a rematch with that fight that we saw down at the Superfly. He was going to do a rematch with Juan Marco Estrada. Oh wow!
And his trainer came out and said, his promoter came out and said, look, Sore's not in a good place right now. He broke up with his girlfriend, his sweetheart of his entire life.
Wow!
They had nothing together, and somehow or another she popped up with another dude, I think on Instagram. And the Thai homie is devastated. Wow. And so he's collecting.
Probably should wrap up his career.
He's collecting himself.
Which explains why you need to be handsome to be a boxer.
Oh!
Wow.
He was probably a better looking boxer.
That's right.
She went with.
That's right.
Damn. Yeah, and so he's him. I mean, because he's just been inactive for a couple months. I still got him higher on the list, I would say. But there's a fascination with Lomachenko because I think he's been marketed well. I think Bob Arum has done a good job with him. All of the pundits, including our own Ellie Seckback of ES News, spends a lot of time with him in the gym. His training is fascinating, and his story is fascinating. You know, his dad had him do ballet when he was young. He had to do other stuff. His footwork is incredible. Yeah. That's not even in question. Yeah. But what I saw with the fight was a lot of vulnerability. And if you were able to watch the fight independent of ESPN's super biased commentary,
turn down the volume.
Man, because they would lead you to believe that he was totally dominant the whole fight. And what I saw was a smaller man landing punches, but receiving punches from a bigger man that had an effect.
Right.
I saw it. And the biggest problem that I had with Jorge Linares, who I have big respect for, I've met Jorge before, he's a great champion. And I've seen this a few times in fights that I've watched with Vasyl, and you can only see it a few times because he only has 12 fights, is the opponent seems to wait for Vasyl. And that's what Salido, who is the one loss in his 12 wins, or 11 wins, whatever it is, that's what Salido did not do. Salido went in there and roughed him up and bullied him and pushed him around. And there was a couple holes in Vasyl's game that I saw, and it had to do with that. Vasyl wants to be cute. He wants to use footwork. He wants to go out there and do the toro and the pasa doble and this, that, and the other and make it cute and this, that, and the other. He doesn't want you to bully him. He doesn't want you to push him around. He doesn't want you to actually go to his body, which was evidenced by the fact that really what I think in watching the fight again, what got Jorge Linares knocked out was the referee's insistence on acting as though punches that were on the belt line were low blows.
But that was,
which then in turn caused him to be hesitant to go to the body.
Yeah, that was Lomachenko's corner. They kept complaining about it.
And then Loma too.
Yeah.
Loma too.
In the middle of the ring.
In the middle of the ring.
And I don't know why fighters stop while he complains.
I mean,
that's not my problem.
Yeah. And that
he's susceptible to straight shots, by the way.
Yes, he is. And that seemed to cause some hesitancy for Jorge to let his hands go to the body because he didn't want to get a point deducted. And with as biased as the ESPN commentary was, there is absolutely, positively no way that those punches were low. Otherwise, they would have showed him 30 times. Mm-hmm. They didn't replay any of the supposed low blows. I know I saw one. They didn't replay
the knockdown that much, did they? Did you see that replay when Lomachenko got knocked down in the 6th round?
They did not replay it much. They actually had nothing to say. I heard them spellbound. Because they were in the middle of slobbing Lomachenko down. Oh, here he goes again. He's stepping up. He might be the Messiah. He is Lomachenko on his back now. Let's see him get up and fight with the heart of the champion, which he did. I give him a lot of credit. He got off the mat, and to me, that is honestly the most important thing in boxing.
So he got off the mat. So is that ESPN? Or is that somebody else? Who has what to gain by loving Vasyl Lomachenko?
It's ESPN.
Yeah.
Boxing, ESPN, and Top Rank, and it's Top Rank and ESPN that are all in cahoots. And I think that since he signed this, whatever deal that he signed to fight on Top Rank and not on paper on ESPN and not on a pay-per-view or on a major subscription cable network, the more they can hype him up to be must-watch television, the more it benefits them financially. Now, what'd you see in the fight?
I just saw a lot of dancing, and it was a good fight, but the dancing is overrated in the sense of when you're talking about mixing it up with a guy, if he goes into a battle with a guy like Adrian Broner, what you brought up before.
Okay, let me throw that out there. Now, guys, you'll never expect me to say this because I've canceled AB, but in all honesty, the guy that beats Vasyl Lomachenko most clearly in my mind is Adrian Broner at 135, other than somebody he shouldn't even fight, but I'd love to see him fight, is Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, because of hand speed and footwork, and I didn't buy into the Lomachenko bandwagon. I don't buy into it because I need to see him fight at least 20 fights before I can sign off on him being even considered one of the greatest fighters of all time, which they were ranting and raving about.
Ranting and raving.
How did he lose? He got knocked out, but what
how did
in his one loss?
lose?
No, in his one loss. Because he
got roughed up. He didn't get knocked out.
Oh, he didn't get knocked out?
No, he didn't get knocked out.
Okay.
This guy, Salido, Mexican cat, fought a very grimy Mexican-style fight. And he pushed him around the ring.
Posed his will.
He posed his will on him. He came into the ring at like 150 as
like
opposed to 128.
He knew how to cut his weight.
Yeah, he missed. He didn't make weight on the scale, so he actually lost the belt on the scale. But he weighed in at 128, and the limit was 126. But then that night, I think he weighed in at 147, 148.
And when did that happen in Lomachenko's career? How early?
Pretty early.
Everything is early.
Everything is early.
Yeah, right. No, yeah.
This is at zygote stage. it was pre-fetal. Yeah, but that's.
So where does he go from here?
Well, the rumor is, but let's go back to I want to hear your analysis. But yeah, I think Adrian Broner gives him a problem, and I never really wanted to see Adrian Broner fight again. But I would like to see him and Lomachenko at 135, to be honest.
Well, I felt like Linares was imposing his will on him. I really don't buy into the fact that Linares fell for a liver shot. It's just unbelievable to me because it's a guy who has 41, 41-1 or something like that, 41-3 or something crazy.
Yeah, I think he's lost 4 fights now.
Yeah, so that's 45 fights. He's fighting at the highest level. He's one of the
champion.
Yeah, he's a champion. He's been out there forever. How many good, not even great champions, but good champions have you seen lost his belt on a liver shot? I understand that it's real and everything else.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
When
get that guy on Twitter and ask him to ask Terry if he's the guy.
Please don't give my handle. He's outside waiting.
And the guy who asked me that was Vasyl Lomachenko, by the way.
Wait. Nice moves.
Okay, you're the best. By the way, your dance shoes are great.
But Linares actually, I felt like it because even when he was out there winning the fight, in my eyes, he was fighting as if he was losing the fight.
He did.
His demeanor,
body language.
Linares was carrying himself as if he was losing.
As if he was losing the fight.
Yeah. And even his corner was sort of like they weren't saying that you were in control, but actually he was. He's a bigger guy. He's a good fighter. And that's just boxing.
Yeah.
So if he pops his jab, he keeps Lomachenko at a distance, follows it up like he was, working his body, slowing him down.
The body was the body work was critical. I thought Jorge came out with the right plan. He won the first round, and then he gave up a couple rounds, just being timid.
Right.
And you could tell this, in my opinion, you could tell that Lomachenko knew that he was in for a fight because one thing that he does is he likes to wait, feel out his opponent, then he puts on the show and he makes a guy quit.
And he never.
He didn't do that this time. In the first round, he was trying to feel him out, and he felt his power, and he turned it on immediately in the second round. Like, hey, I can't mess around with this dude.
Yeah. I just felt like that the fans.
So you think it was rigged?
I'm going with Riggs. Riggs.
Yeah. Shout out to Danny Glover.
Honestly, and I hate to go to the rig card, not to take anything away from Lomachenko because he's probably the only guy that wasn't in on it. But I really believe that in a way that it wasn't.
I can't roll. I can't go as far as to say it's a full.
It ain't full blown.
Riggs. I can't go with Riggs.
Tito.
I can't go with Riggs.
You're questioning me.
That's pretty.
I always shy away from the rigging these days.
It's boxing though, but you see it a lot, and
the fight was too good, in my opinion.
Where could have knocked him out at some point. Yeah.
I felt like Linares could have actually imposed his will and knocked him out because
I agree.
And this is where
he
I feel
didn't
like
let his hands go.
He didn't let his hands go. He
I've seen that a lot of times. I've seen that a lot of times.
He actually stood in the middle of the round right before he got stopped
and stopped fighting.
And
took about 8 punches
in a row and let him put the show
on
to
the liver shot.
Yeah, and everybody just was like, oh my goodness!
And then when he got up,
Yeah.
And then kind of just was like, yeah, it was kind of like,
And
he didn't try to hold. He didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just don't buy it. Yeah, he's a champ. And you expect something else from the champ besides rolling over, getting into a round where he's probably going to win or can impose his will maybe and even stop Lomachenko. Because it wasn't like Lomachenko was in crazy trouble, but I felt like he was doing enough to dominate the fight. He imposed his will on him. He was a bigger guy. He was a stronger guy. Lomachenko was just fast. You could even see that his punches weren't even affecting him like that.
His punches didn't have major steam. They were sharp. That's the thing about him. He's really sharp.
Well, that's what I saw.
I like watching Loma fight. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
I like him. I like watching him fight.
But I just don't want to just buy into it and jump on the bandwagon because if you put him in there, because I hate even talking about it because I really don't care for Adrian Broner like that. But I feel like Adrian Broner probably would stop him.
I don't know, but you don't know which Adrian Broner is going to show up.
Yeah, which Adrian Broner is going to show up. Yeah. But if the Adrian Broner shows up that just showed up his last fight.
In the last 6 rounds.
Yeah, in the last 6 rounds.
First 6 rounds, he got the crap beat out of him.
And what about Mikey Garcia? Because that's somebody
Mikey Garcia
that's a different animal.
In my opinion.
That's a different animal.
Mikey Garcia stops him.
Because he's fast, too.
So they got him
and he's got pop. And he's fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
ESPN's got Mikey Garcia number 7 pound for pound.
Dude.
And they got
Vasily
your boy
number 1.
Vasyl number 1 because he's handsome.
Mike is a good-looking guy too, though.
There you go. Yeah. But so, and then I looked at the numbers for the fight, and I saw it seemed like Linares got busier and busier and busier as the fight got on, and it looked like Lomachenko slowed down his punches.
That's because he started to get that body shot.
He was more.
It
looked like he was more accurate, a lot more accurate.
He is more accurate.
So they landed like the same amount of punches with a third of the punches thrown towards him.
Well, but this is what, and that's because he had to get his guard up. The thing that people like about Loma, and I can understand it, is he's actually an offensive fighter.
Yeah.
He comes forward. He's there to fight. He's not there. He dances, and that's why I can't agree with the icons on this one about all he saw was some dancing. He fought. He threw his hands. This is where Lomachenko, in my opinion, has the edge over everybody, is that he throws his hands. You're not going to get in a fight with Vasyl Lomachenko where he gets gun shy. I haven't seen that fight happen yet. He goes out there, he throws his hands, he confuses confuses people with the footwork. One thing that I saw Jorge Linares do really well is he didn't really get dazzled with the footwork. There was times that Vasyl tried to pull his cute footwork moves on him, and Jorge just imposed his size and grabbed him by the waist and danced right with him.
Right.
You know, and that's a big deal. I think let's hear what Loma had to say about the scorecards, because if we go to the scorecards, the fight on the scorecards before the knockout was even.
Yeah.
Vasyl, congratulations. Two things. Number one, were you surprised at the scorecard? You were down on one card was even, and you were up on the other. Can you comment on that? And then secondly, can you talk about when you got knocked down? Was it a flash knockdown? Were you in trouble? And what adjustment did you make after that?
About judges, no, it's not my job. It's not my work. I can't commentate their job. And second question, it was a fast flash. That's it.
So Vasyl took the high road and said, I can't really comment on what the judges do with their scorecards. And the knockdown, of course, it was a flash knockdown. I was never in trouble. I think that he should stay at 130, to be honest. And I don't know if anybody beats him at 130. I think if he goes up to 135 and rests there and then goes up, tries to keep going up, I think it's going to go the wrong way for him. And then I never like to apply pressure with a guy to make him feel like he has to go up, because that's not right. And he can be the best at what his natural weight is. So if his weight is 130, make the fight with Tank, because Gervonta Davis is where he would potentially go. And I actually take Gervonta Davis in that fight.
I would as well.
Because Gervonta is quick. I don't think he's going to be out-athleticized by Loma. And he's got more pop than Jorge Linares does.
He's got heavy hands.
He's got heavy hands. And I don't see him quitting.
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of scandal with him and his promoter, Mayweather Promotions. So that never bodes well. But overall, I thought it was a great fight. Hats off to ESPN, because they put on a great card, because the fight before that one was interesting as well. I just thought that the lopsided commentary from Hall of Famer Timothy Bradley, from the announcers.
Wait a minute. Timothy Bradley's the Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he's not. He just just got in. He just retired. No. I think he's in.
They couldn't put Timothy Bradley in.
I do believe. He beat Manny Pacquiao in his prime. You don't remember?
No, I still don't remember that. Let me look this up. This is definitely a no-no.
You hate Timothy Bradley.
He hates Timothy Bradley.
Stole that win from Manny Pacquiao, and he
has been writing it out ever since.
Oh, my goodness. And he's so biased. He when he does a Manny Pacquiao fight, you can just see oh my goodness.
The jealousy just drips off.
Like, oh, my goodness, really?
But I will say he was involved in one of the most brutal wars I've ever seen on HBO. In boxing, that fight against him and Prodnikov down at the StubHub Center.
That was rough.
Wow, that was a great fight.
He showed so much heart.
Oh my goodness, that's to me that's the fight that made Timothy Bradley. Desert Storm got it.
I would have liked to have seen him fight Floyd Mayweather.
I would have too, because he had a lot of athleticism and
I think that's why they stayed away from him.
Perhaps, but yeah, good fight. And then there was the other fight on. There's the other fight same night, Saturday night. That was the title fight with Sadam Ali. Versus Munguia. I don't know how we say his name. I'm a jerk again for this one. But it was a junior middleweight fight. Ali won the belt against Miguel Cotto in Miguel Cotto's last fight. And Miguel Cotto's bicep rolled up on him. And it was ugly. And it was still rolled up after the fight. And he was just talking like nothing had happened. Yeah, you can see right now. It was like I'm amazed at his fortitude. But this fight was Jaime Munguia's combos versus Sadam Ali's chin, and it didn't work out well for Sadam Ali's chin. The guy looked like Anthony Joshua in there. He looked like he was 200 pounds. Did you guys see this fight?
I saw it. Oh, man. It didn't look right.
Oh, man. They set Ali up this time. And he took the fight on short notice because they said, hey, you have to take it for the title defense. And this kid is a lot of people feel like he's up and coming and he's next. Now he's a champion at 154. There's a lot of good fights at 154. You have Charlo. You got Hurd. You got a lot of different people that he can go see. And hopefully Ali goes back down to 147. But after the fight, he sounded a little punch drunk, and I hope that damage is permanent because you could hear it in his post-fight rap.
I've never heard anybody come back from, brain damage like that where they get their speech back or the thought process. It seems like it's just something that's just there after you get punchy. That's it.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't reconnect, right?
Yeah.
Man.
You're just talking about your brain getting bashed inside of your skull over and over and over. That's why you stay with MMA, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't get hit as much. They don't, yeah.
Couple of snapped elbows.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know a lot about boxing anymore, but this I'm reading this right now, and it says Nevada State Athletic Commission rejected Munguia as a potential opponent to fight Golovkin.
Yeah.
What was that about?
And they should have, because the kid actually got hit a lot by Sadam Ali. Sadam was just too small, and he doesn't have the pop.
So
to
it was
make
because
some noise.
it was like you're not good enough.
It was lopsided, and what
wow.
I believe that happened was Triple G Promotions was trying to put on a fight to basically keep him sharp to fight when he was supposed to be fighting Canelo.
Oh, he's only 21.
This is what I'm saying. Did you watch the highlight real quick? You can go on Twitter, go to HBO Boxing on Twitter, and watch the highlight. It's devastating, the highlights of what he did to Sadam Ali. It's really ugly.
It was.
And all of the other welterweights was like, man, they got Ali. He got set up. Earl Spence said, man, they got Ali. LOL. That's messed up.
And they wouldn't stop the fight.
Stop the fight. You got to protect the boxer.
Come on, man. And the guy, he got knocked down the last time, it jumped straight up.
He's got crazy heart. His dad is sitting there with him. His dad is watching. You watching this?
Yeah, I just done it right now.
I'll fire it up. I'll fire it up for the fans so you guys can hear an audio if you like, even though I don't know why anybody would want to hear this.
Boom lands a big left hook right there, and that's that size. When a guy's that much bigger than you, it's very, very hard.
And then we come in with Roy Jones with some expert commentary.
Body shot by Munguia. Sadam tries to answer from a distance with the right hand. Down goes Ali on a left hook by Munguia.
That's that size difference, Jim.
5, okay? And that's real punching power.
Yes, sir.
7. 8. Come here,
Punchy. And then let me give you another one.
Those type of punches from a big guy. Munguia looks like a full-fledged light heavyweight tonight. That's clean right on the jaw.
It's bad news, and this one was really ugly.
Yep.
Oh, that right hand might have done it.
Yep, that's crazy.
Third knockdown. 3.
They should have stopped the fight right there.
Terrible job by the ref.
Closing seconds in round 2, they should have stopped the fight.
7.
He stays, and he's like, what round are we going into? He's like 4. And his corner's like 3. He's like, yeah, 3.
Rosado waves his arms emphatically as soon as Sadam Ali hits the canvas. Referee Gary Rosado was upset.
But Golovkin would still just destroy him.
Oh, man. Gennady Golovkin is so much farther down the road than people give him credit for. Because one of the reasons everybody loves Loma so much, which is something that really, bothers me about the way that they sell Gennady short is last time.
He fights. Roy, take us through it.
The lead left hook right there. All he had to do was hit Sadam one more time, and you knew it was over with, which is why I was glad that
you knew it was over with.
Lomachenko, I think it was 396-1. This is amateur record. Wow. I think Gennady is like 400-0. Plus 40 fights in the professional level that he hasn't lost one. Wow. And they got him on his record. They got one draw because of a dirty ref. But yeah, the thing is this kid, I think he's good, and I think he just needs more fights and more rounds. Sadam hit him. You can't get hit by Gennady unless you're juicing and be okay, or unless you come in at a certain size. It's like with Danny Jacobs. Danny came in about 185 on fight night, 180, 185. He was able to absorb punches that usually guys don't absorb. Yeah. And you have to be A level, and I don't think. And Danny is A level. Canelo is A level, and but that remains to be seen after post juicing. But then this situation, this kid is young and he's going to be hungry, and he just needs some more fights. And there's a lot of great fights to make at 54. He doesn't need to come up to fight Triple G at 160. Or if he can, because obviously he's big enough.
But he wanted to already.
But he wanted
to. Crazy.
He wanted to. Yeah. And so it is crazy. It wasn't a good idea. Yeah. But even at 160, there's a lot of good fights to be made. He's got Charlo. He's got Danny Jacobs. He's got Canelo. He's got a lot of fights. Truth be told, it might be a good fight for Canelo to get back in the swing of things, once he comes off of his ban.
That kid shouldn't fight anymore. After that kind of punishment, that kid just got knocked out?
No, that's not who we're talking. We're talking about the guy who did the knocking out.
Oh, I'm like, that kid needs to wrap it up.
No, man, we're not talking about the homie Sadam. Yeah.
I'm in here punchy.
Yeah. You took a liver shot, bro? Let's go, kid. Yeah, so, it's, I don't know. And it's terrible, too, in social media, the fact that you can't have a difference of opinion without people going completely nuts. Because I got people riled up. It was hilarious. And I actually agree with those. Scorecards. I could have seen Loma up around. I didn't see it, and I could have seen the draw, the fight even. Mm-hmm. I definitely could have seen the scenario where Jorge is up around after that knockdown. But again,
he definitely was up after that knockdown. But
right after, and then he took the next round off.
This is what I'm saying.
It's hard to throw a fight unless it's obvious. I don't know.
No, it's
not. Hard to fight a guy as good as Lomachenko and say, I'm going to take a few punches.
I agree. I do.
You know what I mean?
That. I don't see what Jorge Linares gets out of throwing that fight. Jorge Linares' career goes through the roof if he beats.
I feel
Lomachenko.
like he's at the end of his career, though.
Yeah, and he would get a resurgence where he would get a $10 to $20 million payday once or twice if he wins that fight. Then he fights Mikey Garcia and other guys in that 135, 140 round. I don't think there's and worst case scenario, he would get a boatload of money on a rematch if he beat him.
They say that Arum talks Lomachenko, Linares targeting catchweight with fight with Pacquiao.
I would love.
That's what I.
Linares Pacquiao?
Lomachenko
Pacquiao.
I would love to see Lomachenko.
He would get knocked out.
But he should.
Still, he would get knocked out.
Manny Pacquiao would knock him out.
I don't think that. I don't think Manny could make 140 anymore. But maybe, you never know. And two, I don't think Loma should go up to 140. 140 because he would then be jumping from 126 to 140. Yeah. I don't think that's the right look for him. I think that, because we even saw it with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia just had that great fight against that 140 champion that Mikey hit that guy a lot and hit him hard, and his punches didn't have the same smoke on him at 140 that they do at 135. It just, the weight really does matter.
Yeah.
And the smaller you are, it seems like the more it matters.
Yeah, and definitely with a Pacquiao right now because his marketability is down. And
he's got this fight coming up without Freddie Roach.
Yeah,
this is going to be interesting to see what ends up happening because that was also part of the speak for the reason that people are giving that Jorge didn't let his hands go because he wasn't with Salas. He wasn't with his normal trainer. Why you changed your trainer who was your most effective trainer around the time of the biggest fight of your career?
Right.
How many times have we seen that? We see it all the time.
It even happened with that female fighter.
And it happened with Kirkland. Remember when Kirkland didn't want to use I always want to call her Ann Rice, but not Ann Rice. The women's trainer, she's a monster. And she's the one who gets Kirkland's mind right. He didn't use her fighting against Canelo, and he got knocked out in the second round. This isn't the right look. Stay with who you're with. Stay with who gets you to win. Oh, man. You know what? Let's give it a call. Next victim wants to weigh in on the fight. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, now you come in. Okay, Jim. Coming in hot. We said we got a special guest here, a blast from the past, a great friend, a friend of the Ozone, Joe Nieves from Disney Stuck in the Middle, live here with you, and we want to hear what you got to say about Loma and Linares. Make it quick. Ooh. You got 1 minute. Come in hot. You got 1 minute on Loma and Linares because we already spoke on it. So you got 1 minute to come in hot. Then we're going to discuss the NBA conference finals.
Okay, so Loma and Linares. I had Linares at the beginning of the fight because just haven't seen too much of Loma in action. I didn't believe the hype. I couldn't believe the hype of him. But the kid is just so accurate.
Very
accurate. He hits. Seems like he doesn't miss any punches. He doesn't miss any opportunity to knock somebody out with his punches. He was able to get knocked down on the canvas. He was able to get back up. Real impressive. So I'm a believer of him. I'm a believer. I'm going to roll with him. I'm going to jump on the Loma hype tip, and I'm going to roll with him because I think this kid, I think he has it. I think he has what we haven't seen in a long time, a champ that can get knocked on the canvas and get back up and finish dudes off.
Very impressive. I mean, I can't front on anything you said there. Getting off the mat is the most impressive thing you can do in a fight to me.
Yeah.
Because that shows the heart. Because he got up and started junking him.
Yeah.
He was off balance, and herein lies the problem is that Linares didn't do his job because after he knocked him down for the first time in his career, there was a shell shock that he could have took because he clammed up a little bit.
I didn't feel like he was off balance. I just felt like he got hit on his chin.
No, I meant after he got knocked down.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean he was off balance. No, he was perfectly on balance.
Yeah.
He just took a straight right down Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a straight shot.
And now, how did you feel about the scorecards?
How do I feel about what?
The scorecards. The scorecards, one scorecard had Linares up 1 round, one scorecard had Loma up 1 round, and one scorecard had it even, thus making it an even fight at the time of the knockout.
Yeah, I think that's New York, but I think they did a good job on it, though. I think because it could have, depending on, just your own perception of that fight, without being a fan in either one of them and going into it as a judge and looking, I can see how it can be even. Myself, I had Linares up by 1, but even
after
with
the knockdown, right?
After the knockdown,
right?
But either that fight could have went either way, and I think it would have ended with a draw. And I don't see Loma wanting to fight this dude over again. It'll be a waste.
I think it's the other way around. To be honest, I think that in another fight he might get Linares out of there in 5 rounds. Because what I saw was the body language I saw was a defeated body language from Jorge Linares. He did not have the body language of a champion. It was almost as if he was listening to the biased ESPN commentary in the ring.
Yeah, right. Like they was in the corner with him.
Yeah,
because he didn't make no real adjustments, and the dude Loma was on the attack the entire fight. I'll say maybe 1 round he was, he stepped back and was like, okay, let me see if I can take this kid's shot. But Loma was on the attack, and I couldn't understand it because it was like Linares was doing everything that the ESPN coordinators cast was saying. He was doing everything. It was like, man.
Icons thinks it was rigged.
He always doing it. He nasty.
He actually rigged it.
he actually got involved in the Supreme Court board sports gambling, and he rigged it. All right, real quick, NBA talk. How do you see this Cavs and Celtics series playing out? The Celtics came out and put down some very interesting work yesterday. How do you see it playing out, and what do you expect out of the Golden State and the Rockets tonight? You watching basketball, Tito?
Absolutely.
With the Cavs, I still think that Cavs is going to pull it off in either 6 or 7. The one thing that concerned me was that pretty much a week off after you've been playing every other night for the Cavs
and playing hot and playing really well. They're playing their best basketball. They were playing their best basketball. They
were playing their best basketball all season, and then to come to a halt and have to sit for 4 or 5 days. That may seem like 2 weeks if you played any type of sports. That's why their shorts were shot, which means their shots were short, which means that they didn't have their legs up under them. Boston was playing decent defense, a lot of grabbing that was going on, but I can't roll against. I can't roll with the green. I got to go with Cavs. I got to go with Brown. I still believe.
Yeah.
With
witness.
What's going on with Golden State and Houston. Flop Fest Finals.
Flop Fest 2018 coming to a TV near you tonight.
The West Coast Finals Flop Series. I'm going with Golden State, man.
Yeah.
I just think that they for real.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Chris Paul and James Harden have another opportunity to actually prove us all wrong. To be honest, What do you think, Joe?
You know what? Just having them in LA, Chris Paul here, and just having so many hopes for the Clippers, and just never pulling through with that.
Never coming through.
I just lost hope, and he's a wonderful guy, and he's amazing. But I just don't see it, and I just don't see it anymore.
And I also
no matter how good
James Harden
exactly.
I've seen James Harden put up crazy individual numbers, but not the kind of crazy individual numbers
and
that
you've also seen James Harden give up.
I have seen James Harden give up and go to the strip club.
And we've seen what Golden State does in big games.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. Yeah. And they're full steam. They got everybody.
They have everybody. It's a problem.
And the other series, like we were saying before, it's LeBron versus Brad Stevens. It is. That's what it is. That's what it is.
And LeBron said,
what's going to happen.
I have zero level of concern at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't go to college, so it's not March Madness. You get better throughout the series. You see ways that you can get better throughout the series.
Would everybody like to see LeBron with the crazy photographic memory real quick? No. Let's play it.
Yeah.
This is pretty awesome.
It is.
We ran him the first possession. We ran him down all the way to 2 on the shot clock. Marcus Morris missed a jump shot, followed it up. They got a dunk. We came back down. We ran a set for Jordan Clarkson, and he came off and missed it. They rebounded it. and we came back on the defensive end, and we got a stop. They took it out on the sideline. Jason Tatum took the ball out, threw it to Marcus Smart in the short corner. He made a 3. We come back down, missed another shot, and then Tatum came down and went 94 feet, did a Euro step, and made a right-hand layup timeout.
I mean, come on, man.
Well, he was wrong. Tatum went 96 feet.
and they
remember your lines.
And what's hilarious is that the press room applauded him. What you saw there is that LeBron James in 42 seconds was more accurate and answered more questions than President Cheeto has in almost 2.5 hours.
Your boy Cheeto hides from the press.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So. Zero concern. I'm with King James as well.
Yeah.
6, maybe 7. And again, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that point. Do it for the tipper, but I think you're absolutely right. There's a little ring rust that took place, especially because the Cavs were playing momentum ball. They were really on a high roll after Game 7 with the Pacers. Steamrolled right over the Raptors. And it's going to be interesting to see what Brad Stevens comes up with. But I noticed that we have a lot of chatter going on from defenders, guys on the Celtics claiming to be LeBron stoppers, and I haven't seen that work well ever with any. Not
it's
with
impossible.
The Kobe
There's no such thing.
Stoppers.
There's no such thing.
Not when you can't actually play defense.
Except for John Starks. John Starks was a Jordan stopper.
Right.
You have to laugh yourself. Look at that.
All right, do it for the tipper.
Play defense when nobody's hitting shots, though, man. So them dudes had wide open shots and just was not hitting it. And that's, just the ring rust, the hoop rust. So them dudes, I wouldn't count Bron and them Cavs out at all.
Tell the people where to find you on Twitter.
I am at Do It For The Tipper. DOIT, the number 4, TIPPER. Hit me up. I'll holler back.
All right, now.
Late.
See you after Flop Fest.
All right.
And along with the ring rust, there's also what I'm thinking about now, that the Celtics coming off a series where they had to play competitively with the Sixers, and it wasn't a long series, so they're sharp and they're not tired. I mean, the Celtics. Did I say the Celtics?
Celtics.
You got it right.
So that's where we are in the world of combat sports and boxing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for a game so fine, it's played on diamonds. Major League Baseball is in full tilt, and there's a new sheriff in town. And his name is the Oakland A's. I got a theory. The Oakland A's are the best team in all of baseball.
I didn't expect that.
Exactly. We keep you on your toes on the ozone. So listen to this. The Boston Red Sox were clearly the best team in baseball. They were like 15-3 or something crazy like that. They went up to Oakland and got no hit. And then I think they lost 2 out of 3. Then the Yankees win 15 out of 16. They go into the Bronx and wreck shop. Even though they only got 1 out of 3, but maybe 1 or 2 out of 3. But it was I just don't understand how the Oakland A's end up giving so many great teams problems.
Fundamentally sound. They always come with good pitching.
That's true.
Just like the Padres. The Padres, they end up losing games, tight games, but they want the games to be tight. Oakland, is a lot like the American League version of the Padres. They want tight games, but they can't seal the deal.
They just don't win them.
They just can't win them. They're not there. They sell all their players to give everybody's farm
problem?
team. It doesn't matter.
Let's talk about who is for real. Who is for real is Showtime. Shohei Ohtani is unreal.
Yeah.
So fun.
He's so
fun.
dirty. You saw what this kid did yesterday?
Yep.
I saw it.
And got a no D, but went out there and carved.
That's shame on Mike Scioscia.
But they won the game.
Yeah, they did win the game.
You didn't have to take him out. One more batter. They bring in Joe Mauer, base knock. You bring in Cam Bedrosian. If you're not going to the bullpen to bring in somebody who's equal or better,
exactly.
Sure,
don't bring him in. You only needed 1 batter out of him. You're babying this guy, and this guy is a gamer.
Well, how many pitches was he at?
I think 100. Maybe 98 or something like that. I think he was at like 101 or something. This is like the most he's ever thrown or something. But they act like he's never played baseball before.
I guess they're figuring him out, right? They're figuring out how to use him.
Why are they figuring him out? They've sent scouts over there to watch him forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He has been known as one of the best baseball players on the planet for a little while now.
Yeah, for like 3 years.
Yeah, and now he comes over here and he can't play every day. He doesn't play. He can't hit the day before. He can't hit the day after he pitches.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
The
guy's numbers are crazy.
His numbers, if they let him play,
amazing, yeah.
If they let him play, if they let him hit, in 125 games, he's giving you 40 bombs,
Right.
maybe 35 bombs.
And since you won't let him play in the outfield because he's an outfielder, he has above average speed.
He got a crazy arm.
He's a 5-tool player.
He's a 5-tooler.
Yeah.
And who also is a surprising 5-tooler now, I feel like, is Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Man, Aaron Judge has really fixed the holes in his game. He's somebody who benefited from being an old rookie. And he really plays the game the right way. When you watch his game, man, he plays the game the right way.
He sure does.
He goes to the opposite field.
Now. The Yankees, besides Gary Sanchez, the Yankees do that.
Let's go in about Gary Sanchez.
You know what? And before we're talking about it, but when T-Bone came in hot, we were talking about it, and he was talking about how bad Gary Sanchez. Well, not how bad. He's wonderful, but how bad a catcher he is. And I was comparing him to Piazza, and he said worse than Piazza. And I'm like, but he hits. And then I look at his number, he's batting 205. I guess he doesn't hit.
Gary Sanchez batting 205?
Yeah, 10 home runs, but 205.
Yeah.
206.
Classic slugger.
Yeah. The whole team is filled with sluggers, and it's going to come back to
Except for Judge.
Yeah, except for Judge.
moving Judge
and Didi Gregorius.
Didi's, obviously. Didi's their best player,
Didi's
in
great.
my opinion.
Didi's great.
And even in his little slump that he's in and this and the other, he's still effective.
I love Derek Jeter. Is Didi Gregorius better than Derek Jeter?
The only thing,
right?
The only thing that
you don't think so?
Offensively, he is.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, but we have to see him in the same situations. If we can see him in the same situation that Derek Jeter was in.
Now, what we saw
but offensively, he's good.
And what we saw is last October he was game.
Yeah.
Clutch grand slam against Corey Kluber.
Yeah.
Clutch hits all throughout the playoffs against great pitchers.
And we saw Derek Jeter do it against Pedro.
Yeah.
And we saw Derek Jeter get ringed up 5 times.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
And
4 times? 5 times Jeter's got.
It's 5, I think.
Jeter's got 5, I think.
Yeah, right?
At least 4.
But offensively, I would take Didi.
Yeah, he's got 5. I think they went 3.
Overall, as a matter of fact, because Didi's defense is
Jeter never hit 30 home runs, right? 21, 22,
no,
25,
that wasn't
something
his
like
job,
that.
though.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
I think 23 was maybe his max.
But the intangibles that he brings.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I mean, Joe, you're a prisoner of the moment. I love
No, I'm just thinking because
he's just throwing it out there.
I love him.
I feel like because,
don't even throw that.
We talk about everybody, Mickey Mantle, great. But then you look, later on, you're like, oh, maybe this guy's as good as Mickey Mantle. We just think of Mickey Mantle, he's the greatest ever. We think of Derek Jeter, he's the greatest ever. But if you look,
I didn't get to see Mickey Mantle lace him up. I have to go just by the numbers. I watched Derek Jeter's entire career. And Derek Jeter's entire career, the only shortstop that I need instead of Derek Jeter in the big situation is Oswald Smith.
I was going to say. So
offensively or defensively.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. Would you take Derek Jeter over Ozzie Smith?
No.
I would.
Really?
You don't lose with either one of them.
Yeah.
You don't lose with either one of them.
Well, you do lose because defensively you're going to lose with Derek Jeter when it comes down to defense. You lose with everybody.
I'm just talking about the series.
Oh, okay.
Because what Jeter loses in defense, in theory, he makes up for in offense. But Ozzie Smith is hitting more than 300.
Yeah. And he's walking, and his OBP is got
stolen bases.
Yeah.
The greatest leather you have ever seen in your life
in baseball.
What you lose is more. Jeter has more leadership than Ozzie Smith. I think so. He wasn't the leader of those teams.
What? Who was the leader? He's the captain.
Tom Hearn. I'm just kidding. Kenny Overflow. You guys are nuts.
Jack
Clark. No, that whole team was a bunch of studs. That whole team was a bunch of leaders.
He was the leader.
He was the leader of that team.
He's the captain of that vessel.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah.
And he got cheated with no replay. He should have 2 rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you obviously are not going to lose with either one of them.
No, both of them.
But if I plugged and played and they said you had to pick one shortstop, I'm taking
That's your shortstop. That's your shortstop all time.
Taking Ozzie.
All time.
Wow.
All time.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. I have to. I'm sorry.
Joe, don't act like you didn't see
I don't know.
Ozzie Smith's highlight
Of course I have. Of course I have.
He has the greatest play in baseball history, period. It's not even anything close. I mean, literally.
I'm trying to think about I'm trying to think about the shortstops.
And Jeter,
besides them two.
I don't know if there's a bigger Jeter fan than me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love Jeter's work. His body of work is incredible.
And handsome.
He could box. But Ozzie Smith, what Ozzie Smith did for defense is Yeah. Ozzie Smith, low-key, kind of ruined Barry Larkin's awesome Hall of Fame career.
He sure did, right?
Just because Barry Larkin was a great shortstop.
Yes.
And never got the credit that he should have gotten.
Right.
I was happy he went in the Hall. Because
he deserved it.
Because people recognized how great he was. His players, his fellow players, his peers recognized.
Yeah.
You felt like he never got the love from the fans because every single game was must-watch TV with Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
Even if it was just for the opening intro for him coming out and doing somersaults. I mean, All-Star games, World Series, forget about it.
No, I like.
People need to go to YouTube and look at that ground ball up the middle when he was in San Diego and barehands it.
So many, but everything. He was just
Everything.
his range.
His range,
yeah.
Don't even bring it up. The range is outrageous.
I don't know who's close defensively.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Barry Larkin, maybe.
Yeah,
honestly.
Omar Vizquel
I was about
and Barry
to say
Larkin.
Omar Vizquel.
Omar Vizquel, yes.
Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel had crazy leather.
Yeah.
Like Ozzie Smith-esque leather.
Yeah.
But you just can't. If you watch the game, if you were a baseball player and you watch the game, that's who you wanted to play like. He was hands down every year Topps Gold Glove card every year. Yeah.
And he played on turf.
Yeah.
Which
slowed
him down a little bit.
Yeah. But with his work in San Diego.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you crazy?
Well, not only that, this was before the Tommy John surgery, right? He
messed up his arm.
He messed up his arm.
And he made the adjustment.
And he made the adjustment. He
and
started throwing the ball on the run.
Afro.
Yeah.
He did. Absolutely. Oscar Gamble. Speaking of beautiful afros, I just found out that Eddie Murray lives in Valencia, where I live now.
Oh, really?
Really?
I'm looking forward to seeing Big Ed.
Even though Eddie Murray rocked a curl. Maybe now he.
That's right. Yeah.
We got to meet Eddie Murray. Remember when we were with Ozzy?
Oh, sure did.
Is he a big dude? He looks like a big dude.
It's a medium-sized guy.
And also, you know how it is when you age.
Yeah.
You're not as. He might have been your
But he's
size
solid,
before.
though.
Yeah, he's solid dude.
Yeah.
Sure did get to meet Eddie Murray. Eddie Murray, vicious switch hitter.
Two-way.
Yeah.
So back to what we were talking about, the 5'2" guys. Yeah, Didi.
We're talking about
their
Ohtani.
Best. Well, no, we were talking about Didi being the best player.
No, okay.
And that's how we got.
I said he was the greatest baseball player. At least.
Joe, and I asked Joe if he needed a liver shot. So after a 3-minute break, we came back on air. Yeah. So the Yankees look good, but the numbers. This is going to be a tight.
But again, the Red Sox, Yankees, Astros, and Angels.
Right.
They're so much fun. All those teams are so much fun right now.
Yeah.
The Angels have always had the Yankees number to a certain degree. So if it comes down to a wild card game between them,
it didn't go that way this first series when
sure
they went
did
down
not.
there.
Yeah.
They started that streak against them pretty much.
And now the Angels are hot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough.
They got a stacked lineup, man. They got really nice lineup. When Ohtani's in it.
Yeah, but I just think that Mike Socha's going to find a way to mess it up. Literally.
You never know. How about old Canada? How about James Paxton carving?
Yeah,
we haven't spoken about his
no.
First, that's had to be pretty awesome for him. The first Canadian ever to throw a no in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
And throwing 98, 100 at the end of the game is impressive.
From the left side.
Yeah, these are all the players of the week. Francisco Lindor is a player of the week. He seemed to be upset because I remember that series that they went and played the Yankees. He didn't play well. He made some key errors in each game that actually ended up costing them the game. But he bounced back and put up some video game numbers. He hit 600, 4 bombs, 8 runs, 5 ribeyes, 4 doubles, and he won back-to-back Player of the Week honors.
Who's the kid who pitched yesterday with 5.2, no hit, 13 strikeouts?
That's that kid, Peralta.
Oh, man.
Peralta. Freddie
was
Peralta.
he heralded? Were people talking about him before he started?
No, I knew that they were bringing him up. I had read that they were bringing him up, and he was okay in the minors. He struck out more batters than innings pitched.
So this was a surprise. It's a surprise no matter who does it. But
he's living up.
Colorado.
In Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid was unbelievable. He was hitting the spots with decent velocity.
Yeah.
Mixing up his speeds.
Great.
He looked great. Do you have him on your fantasy squad?
I don't have a fantasy squad this year.
Whoa, Tito.
Yeah, I know. The leagues fell apart. And then I was in an NL West, NL West only.
Wow, that's a tough league.
That's a very specific league. How are there enough players?
I'm the only team. I was in an NL only league. I had too many rules, and I had to back out. But yeah, I'm teamless. But I do my draft.
We got to get you in the league. We got to start on.
Wow. Well, also, how about Ozzie Albies? How about the Atlanta Braves in general?
Yeah. Still, Sean Newcomb. Sean Newcomb hasn't given up a run in what? This is almost 20 innings?
I can't make heads or tails out of the National League right now. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, right?
I have no idea what's going to happen.
So that's because you don't play fantasy. Or fantasy.
No, I'm watching. I can't predict who's gonna be there at the end of the year.
I think that Arizona's real, but I think the Rockies can pull it out.
Pardon me for being a homer, but I still think the Dodgers are going to put it together at some point.
You are a homer.
They look terrible.
They were talking about getting Manny Machado. If they got Manny Machado, it would change this season around.
Yeah.
Like tonight.
Well, Justin Turner's on his way back, and that's going to actually go because dropping 3 to the Reds is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
And how about Matt Harvey? Matt Harvey went over there, and, even though he did it against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But he did his work. He came out, he threw 4, he looked sharp, he had his velocity. I don't know if he had touch, but this is the best case for him as far as restarting his career.
Yeah, it was crucial that he got that. You know, he needed that for confidence more so than anything.
Yeah.
But getting out of New York is probably going to be a saving grace.
Yeah.
He still got gas.
Yeah, he does.
Don't sleep.
Does. He brings
but
cheese.
But the Dodgers, it's over for the Dodgers.
You think so?
It's over already.
I didn't think that they had it in the beginning anyway. They played over their heads to me last year. But, you get lightning in a bottle if you can bring up some of those rookies to make the replacement. But you have Kershaw down now. Rich Hill, of course, went down with the blister.
Yeah.
Worst signing. $50 million for Rich Hill and his blister. I wonder how much Rich got paid and how much his blister was getting paid. but
the fix was in. The blisters are
exactly. I think Kersh comes back. Turner comes back.
Seager's not coming back.
Seager's not coming back. Second bit's his name. Forsythe will come back.
The past two.
Logan. Oh my goodness.
The past
Kuroda will come. No, Kuroda's done too, or.
Kuroda?
No, the Hyunjin Ryu.
Oh, you bring him out of retirement.
Wow,
you are Homer.
Wow,
and then Nomo.
Exactly.
But Hyunjin was pitching so good.
Yeah, but Ryu, he's injured, right? We got Ryu down. You have Kershaw down. You have Seager down, and
Turner down. Turner coming back,
and then Cody Bellinger is just not up to code yet.
Yeah.
Actually, his numbers, when you look at his numbers, they aren't as bad.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they don't feel as effective as his numbers say. And that's tricky because I know that how real
he's giving you the
numbers
Eric Carrolls right now.
I don't know. He's actually holding his weight, but the team isn't cohesive at all.
I like Matt Kemp's playing great.
Kemp's playing great.
Yeah. And I think that Turner is only going to help that if they do pick up a Machado or somebody in that range. Not that there's many of them out there, but if they pick up a real replacement for Corey Seager. And I would like to know what's up with Urias.
I know. They're not talking about him at all. They're not talking about him at all.
Well, his shoulder injury, he's not supposed to be back until the end of the probably.
No, he had Tommy John.
No, he didn't. He had a shoulder injury, which is worse than Tommy John.
Oh, I thought he had Tommy John.
No. He has a shoulder injury. And he's working back from his shoulder injury, and he probably won't be back, they said, until probably August, which means September.
And Rich Hill's blister got a shoulder injury as well.
Tito, talk to us. What's going on? What's going on in your career?
You could still watch Stuck in the Middle on the Disney Channel. And
how do you like being on a Disney star? How do you like that?
It's great. It's great. Yeah, it's. I got 2 little kids now, and I'm a Disney dad. So it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to where this is the last season. This is the last season, so I'm looking forward to see what happens after this. Been getting some fun auditions, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome, awesome. Only the best for the best. I think it's great because with the Disney Channel, you know what? It's positive. You're a positive dude. I love the fact of how active and opinionated you are on your social media.
And you know what's cool about Disney? They didn't mind that. Nobody said anything about
awesome.
it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And also,
very progressive.
I would imagine as a parent, it's even more important for you know what I mean at this point for to stand up for what you believe makes the world a better place, and you're doing it, and you're entertaining people, which is always nice.
What's your Twitter handle?
At Joe P. Nieves, Twitter and Instagram.
Joe P. Nieves, also known as Tito, folks. Well, this has been a spirited edition of the Ozone. I'm going to leave you with an African proverb, and it is self-affirming. If you think you're too small to make a difference, spend a night with a mosquito. I really like that one. Doesn't take a lot to do a lot, folks. Make yourself available and maximize your talent. I am Omar Miller. This is the Ozone. We've been blessed with the presence of Joe P. Nieves and my brother Terry, the Icons with a Z. Holler at us, folks. We always got an opinion about everything.
Ozone.
I'm just living the dream.